Al, Matt Vereen, and Amanda Poole. More sports coverage than anyone else in the Midlands, sponsored by Lexington Medical Center, starts right now.
Welcome into Sports Zone, everyone. I'm Sports Director Matt Dowell. Happy Tuesday to you. Tonight, the South Carolina men's basketball team hosting Ole Miss in their first game as a ranked team in 7 years. Over at Colonial Life Arena, it was a sold-out crowd and a whiteout at the CLA. Lamont Paris in an undefeated quarter zip, as always. And don't forget, it's Talon Tuesday as well. Speaking of Talon, Cooper flying the ball to the corner, finding Michi Johnson here early on. That three is good. Carolina asserting itself in the first half. Later on, Colin Murray-Boyles, the freshman from Columbia, a little one-on-one in the paint with the moves, a physical two there for CMB. Later on, Miles Studi on the wing, a jab step and a pull-up, knocking down the contested three ball. He'll have back-to-back buckets from deep, pushing South Carolina up by 9. Later on, Johnson driving, stuck in the paint, kicks it out to Cooper. Talon Tuesday at the CLA. Gamecocks knocking down 7 threes in the first half alone. Then Zachary Davis gonna lob it up into the big man, Josh Gray. He goes up strong, slamming it down for the dunk. Gamecocks taking control, leading 43-31 at the half. The Rebels, though, make a comeback in the second. They were down by 17. It got within 2, but Murray-Boyles stepping up when needed, scoring 16 points, grabbing 9 rebounds and some major blocks. The Gamecocks weather the storm with Don Staley in attendance, but no court storming tonight, as this was expected. South Carolina winning tonight 68-65. Our Amanda Poole was at this game, and she joins me now live from Colonial Life Arena. Amanda, South Carolina up by 17 in that second half, looking like they were going to cruise to victory, but then it got a little dicey. How were the Gamecocks able to close out Ole Miss tonight?
Yeah, Matt, it definitely was a tale of two halves tonight. South Carolina and Ole Miss shooting the ball extremely well in that first half. The Gamecocks shooting 62% from the field and knocking down 7 threes, shooting 50% from the perimeter, giving them that edge, 43-31 at halftime. But like you said, despite a 17-point lead in that second half, the Rebels brought it within 2. South Carolina shooting 2 of 15 from the perimeter. So when their perimeter shots were failing, they relied on what they know and do best, which is their defense. Head coach Lamont Paris speaking after the game, giving credit to Ole Miss and what they were able to do in that second half, saying that this program, doesn't win 18 games for no reason, but gave credit to his own team for being able to weather that storm. Paris sharing his message to the team when it came down to a one-possession game.
Just survived the punches for the most part, round it up, tighten it up defensively now, come on. And we were able to a little bit, right? They were at one point on track with 7-something left in the game to score a lot of points, and we tightened it up a little bit defensively. So we were just at that point, the body of work is what it is. You got to find a way to get through the next thing, right? And just rallying guys around and getting guys' attention. There's so many things going on, and getting them ready to and not overreacting. I didn't want to overreact because we had to do something else next, and the outcome of the game potentially could have been riding on the fact that they needed to be listening rather than thinking still about what happened, 45 seconds ago.
South Carolina weathering that storm, and we forgot to mention it's their 20th win of the season. They're 20-3 overall now and 8-2 in the SEC. So from the player perspective, Amanda, Columbia native Colin Murray-Boyles, in my opinion, was the MVP for the Gamecocks tonight. 16 points, 9 rebounds, and blocking a 7'5" player from Ole Miss. Amanda, how confident are the Gamecocks as a whole after their 6th SEC win in a row?
Well, Matt, I think confidence and belief go hand in hand. And when you look at the team's confidence this year, it kind of reminds you of last year with the lack of. They didn't have a lot of wins, so they didn't know where to build confidence. So they had to look within, and I think they learned from that. And that's why they're able to build confidence from within this season. And you also look at this season because they have a much more complete team, especially when it comes to depth, being able to rely on everybody like a freshman starter in Colin Murray-Boyles and like a Josh Gray, who's made such a more big impact this year than he did last year. South Carolina's depth outscoring Ole Miss's depth 23-6 tonight, and that just shows you the growth here that the South Carolina team has had. So as for the players, despite the sellout crowd, despite the top 15 ranking, players say they still find confidence within.
It's always nice to have that little number by your name. It's cute, but but it just gotta be us, man. At the end of the day, just play the same way we've been playing. Like, that number has nothing to do with us. Like, it's all God is helping us throughout this whole journey. So just playing and just going against each opponent like our last. So just being good and being confident.
It just showed that, you know, whether we ranked or not, we still gonna play South Carolina basketball at the end of the day. You know, and this game that we just had, how close it was, it just showed how we can just weather the storm no matter under any what's the word I'm looking for? Circumstance. Yeah. So we just gonna play South Carolina basketball at the end of the day.
Well, so much talk the past couple of weeks has been about that number in front of South Carolina's name. This week, the Gamecocks, of course, breaking into the top 25 at number 15. So, Amanda, did South Carolina feel any pressure tonight playing their first game as a ranked team?
Well, Matt, I think you kind of heard it from the players there a little bit. Murray-Boyles, the CMB as they call him, kind of saying, you know, this number is cute and all. And of course, this team felt some type of way last week when they weren't ranked, feeling like they deserved some respect on their names. But then getting the ranking this week, but nothing changes. They still play their basketball, their identity, which has been their defense. And you know the saying, defense wins championships. So if they can stick to that identity, I think they're set up for success. But Paris speaking after the game, saying that they won this one tonight because they relied on their identity, not the ranking.
We celebrated the fact that you know, a lot of people go their whole career and they never get a number by their name. Never, right? And most people, raise your hands, you don't have to, didn't think that there'd be a little number next to these guys, right? That's real. That's real talk. And so we acknowledge the fact that that's there. And the work that it takes to get that, and the performances that you have to have consistently to get that, particularly if you're us, it seems like, but also never straying away from who we are and what we do. We keep saying we are who we are, and we do what we do.
That could be their new mantra for this season. Sounds great that they're sticking to the identity and it's working. Paris also adding that this team is on a mission, and that's to get as close to their ceiling as possible. And also, of course, to make it to the NCAA tournament. Paris hopes that this team peaks at the right moment. And in his words, he wants to peak and then ride that peak off into the sunset, Matt.
Yeah, Amanda, Dawn Staley's already talked about a busy selection Sunday here in Columbia. Lamont Paris calling out the haters and the doubters a little bit, joking, of course, which was a lot of fun. But South Carolina 20 wins this season. Again, the Gamecocks beating Ole Miss 68-65 tonight. Thank you, Amanda. That's our Amanda Poole live from the CLA after tonight's win for South Carolina men's basketball. The Gamecocks are back in action on Saturday when they host Vanderbilt. That game tips off at 1 p.m. at the CLA, going for their 7th SEC win in a row.